Aleksey Novikov-Priboy, Submariners. Translated by Orest Holy. Part 6, the final one. The brass bells clang discordantly across the harbor, from commercial and military ships alike. I'm set to roll off watch in half of an hour. For now, I'm standing on the upper deck of the Moray with a rifle in my hand. The sun is playing peekaboo, hiding behind a cloud for a moment before pouring light over the sea once again. A light wind glides over the water, trying to brush off the dust. But you can feel the weather starting to freshen up. The seagulls are nervous. Like snowballs, they pierce the air and cry out relentlessly. A storm is certainly coming tonight. I gaze out at the sea, listening to the ominous hum of seaplane propellers. These seaplanes are like albatrosses soaring above. Every so often, one will descend to the steel gray waters, glide for a bit, and then take flight again into the evening sky. From up there, you can easily spot an enemy submarine lurking beneath the waves. One of the seaplanes, a marvel of human ingenuity, disappears into a cloud. What is it doing up there? Not far from us is their tender, Sophia, billowing smoke from a single smokestack. She's a seaplane base, just like our Amur is a base for submarines. The Volkhov slithers away, maneuvering around the pier. With her double hull, she resembles an iron bridge with two piers and carries powerful cranes for submarine operations. She was commissioned after the war had broke out solely for the purpose of rescuing lost submarines. Volkhov enters the main harbor and powers ahead. I keep my eyes fixed on her, and a dreary feeling hits me. A tragedy happened somewhere out there in the open sea. "Do you hear me, Vlasov? Are you deaf?" The shout comes from our helmsman, Mazurin, on the embankment. His lips, hidden beneath a brown mustache, curl into a smile, as though he is being made an admiral on the spot. "What do you want?" I turn to face him. "That nosy lad is taking your princess out. There he goes, to the outskirts of the city." "Go to hell." I watch Mazurin's lips move, but can't hear a word he said. Stunned, I don't even remember changing of my post. I have no desire to go anywhere, but some mysterious force is pushing me out of the city like wind pushes a sail. The sunset above the desolate beach ominously furrows its fiery brows. From beneath them, the blazing pupil of the sun stubbornly stares at me. Its crimson eyelashes are lowering slowly. Ah, there it is. The air is filled with a low hum. Sing, wind, sing a funeral song. The waves want to play a trick. They spread a carpet of white foam in front of me, only to pull it back just as quickly. Am I that frightening? But where are they, the happy couple? I want to look them in the eye. At last, a glimmer catches my eye at the foot of the hills. I pick up speed. There they are, walking hand in hand. Polina is the first to spot me. She darts to the side, as if pushed away by Mukhaboev. He is turning to face me. I'm closing in. They stop and wait. I want to stay calm like a Hindu idol, reining in a chained hound of my anger. Polina avoids eye contact, standing with her head lowered, as though bracing herself for judgment. The wind toys with her curls, puffs up her skirt. Mukhaboev is the first one to break the silence. "Ah, Semyon Nikolaevich, where are you rushing off to?" "Not any further than here." "Did you lose something?" "Nothing but my trust." "All right." The conversation is cut off. We stand there, facing each other, with only the sound of the roaring surf under the cliff padding the awkward silence. Mukhaboev speaks first again. "Why are you staring at me like a devil and an abbot?" "Because I'm not a nun to stare at your mug with adoration. You're not an abbot. I don't even think of you as of a human being." We are now both choking on our rage. "And who do you think I am? A filthy puke. Oh, you!" For some reason, I took off my old frayed forage cap and laid it on the grass carefully, like a crown with precious stones. I don't know why I did it. Perhaps my adversary was surprised too. "Square up. Now it's time for my fists to do the talking." We collided with a roar, two angry tigers flinging our paws at each other. The heads crashed together like battering rams. We fell, only to rise and resume the attack. Leg kicks are put into action. We grab each other's throats. We tear the meat, rolled into a ball on the ground. Women's cries cut through our hoarse swearing. "What are you doing? Stop it! For God's sake, stop! Lord, they're going to kill each other!" But the presence of the third, her despair, her screams, only spur us on. We get even angrier. The desire to push the enemy into the sea burns me like a flame. He seems to have the same idea. We roll on the grass, closer and closer to the cliff edge. There we linger for a bit, unable to let each other go. Under our feet, deep below, the foamy surf boils. Woman hysterical pleas ring in our ears. Before my eyes is a terrible face, covered in blood, with bare teeth. In a desperate move, I toss my enemy toward the sea as hard as I can. He does not break his grip, however, pulling me down with him. Suddenly, like a paper sheet from under a glass, the ground twitched from under my feet. A black veil fell over my eyes. For what felt like an eternity, we were descending into the abyss. With salt burning in my throat, I choked. Finally, our embrace loosened on its own. And when we surfaced, something strange happened. We swam in the opposite directions. For a while, the waves tossed me around, almost knocking me senseless, until I finally managed to struggle my way onto the sloping shore. Scampering away, I heard no human voices around me. I didn't want to see either Polina or Mukhaboev ever again. As I stumbled back to my bunk at the base, a searing headache and fever took hold of me. Absurd visions tormented me all night. The sea floor, green glow. When are we going to end this fight with Mukhaboev? Who gives a damn? We will keep tearing each other apart until we kick the bucket. and there's Polina flouncing around us naked with her tresses free. Wait, this is not hair, this is seaweed cascading down her back. For some reason, she lets out a sand-choked shriek. All of the sea monsters are present: lobsters, dragons, serpents, stingrays, sea bishops, sharks. They surrounded us, watching the fight with unblinking eyes. I tore off Mukhaboev's lower jaw. Red cloud of his tongue dangles out, numb. Mukhaboev tore skin off my face. Polina squeaks with delight. "Oh, how sweet!" and squirms even more. Laughter is engulfing us. Then the filthy mob roars. "Enough of this! We are tired. Nothing new. We saw this among our brethren too." The toothy shark rolls its eyes and suggests, "Let neither of them have her." Sea creatures pounce on Polina, grab her legs. Mukhaboev and I push each other away, watching in horror. In a blink of an eye, our beloved is torn into two halves. With a buzz and a roar, all monsters scatter, leaving only Polina's hurt behind. It beats and shudders, hot as coal. My enemy and I pick it up simultaneously. Suddenly, what the hell? It is not a heart anymore, but an octopus. Two tentacles wrap around Mukhaboev and six around me. This I can see clearly. My chest is compressed with leather belts. I'm suffocating. Is this love? With the last of my strength, I darted away. Something hit me in the temple. Everything disappeared. I fell to my knees, my head pounding. Before me is a familiar wall with round holes resembling murky pupils. In the semi-darkness, it takes me a moment to recognize the iron side of our tender. A single light illuminates the space. Submariners lie in their bunks in a row, snoring and whistling through their noses. Steam being released overboard is hissing, and a valve drones monotonously. Someone groans. Suddenly, a sailor jumps up, wild with panic, and bellows at the top of his lungs, "F-tongue burst!" Awakened people grumble. "Hornless devil, why do you have to stir such a ruckus? Hope your bladder bursts." The submariners toss and turn, hawking up curses, and soon enough the snores echo once again. What happened to Polina? Did she perish at sea? My thoughts are muddled and I can't sleep anymore. I get out from my bunk and trudge up. The dawn is breaking. From the bridge of the tender, the officer of the watch and signalman are monitoring the sea with binoculars and a spyglass. They note down all ship movements in the logbook. 2 submarines are docked near the Amur and are guarded by sailors armed with rifles. The sea and the sky are churning. Water is swelling, boiling with foam, and the clouds are creeping low, dragging tattered rags. The air is hazy, filled with low hum, and the horizon seems to have shifted closer. Only in the east there is a shining gorge, framed by red-hot edges of torn clouds. Further beyond, the morning glow pierces the endless space. A dark brown battleship, all clad in steel armor, is rushing into the gap, shaking a fan of pinkish smoke. To her left, clouds are billowing like volcanoes, ready to go off in a devastating explosion at any moment. To her right, the bloody purple clouds form a human face, swollen, baring teeth in a surge of anger. A minute passes, and it is consumed by fire. Morning spreads in a flood of light, driving the last night shadows away. Waves with red manes rise and rear up, but the ship pushes forward to the east, full speed ahead, into the red hole in the broken sky. What lies ahead of her in this fiery sea? Will it be a calm marina with blooming shores, or a tempest with underwater rocks? Golden rays of the rising sun touch my face. Not long ago, we bid farewell to the Wolverine on her long patrol. Over 40 men waved their caps at us, and we waved back from the shore, sharing smiles. And now we will never see our comrades again. Destroyers and submarines returned from their search. They combed the sea, every islet, questioned fishermen, and radioed all the observation posts. The Wolverine disappeared. No doubt she has perished. News spread through the base like an evil plague. The morning sun peered through the open portholes, but failed to lift the pall from the faces of the sailors. Various hypotheses are circulating. Perhaps she is wedged in the rocks? Or maybe she was caught into barrage nets? Could it be that she hit a mine? But no one can solve the mystery, as it was forever taken to the bottom of the sea by those who went down with the Wolverine. All the men, however, share the same opinion. The captain was too reckless. Aye, a hothead. He always charged ahead like a jackass. A gunner's mate from the other boat reports, "It's all because of grief." All heads turn to him puzzled. What kind of grief? He had problems at home. What problems? One of our engine men said the captain's wife was cheating on him with some engineer. How would an engine man know? How would he not? He's dating the Rakitnikov's maid. The men continue to curse the war and scold the women. Sassy Zaleikin taunts me with a laugh. "Look, brothers, someone beat Vlasov's face into a signal flag." The others join in, swapping funny stories and showing off their wit to provoke laughter. We laugh a lot, and only now do I realize how necessary it is for us. Laughter is like an antidote to madness, like the well-known inoculation against the plague. The whole living deck is abuzz with cheerful noise, but it is only a mask, and the sense of doom does not leave us. The loss of the Wolverine is not the first, and certainly won't be the last. Our own boat may suffer the same fate, so we are, in a sense, like defendants with the death penalty looming. The menacing specter of fate is raising the gavel. For us submariners, she has no half measures. Either we are acquitted, or we vanish without a trace. As I walked along the seafront after lunch, my attention was drawn to a small group of women and children. These were the same faces that we had seen before when we bid farewell to the Wolverine. Their inflamed eyes are fixed into the bright distance. They are waiting for their loved ones to return, and every now and then patting away tears with their white handkerchiefs. The waterplane is clad in blue silk, its golden sheen revealing the radiant skies. I want to scream at the sea, "Don't be cruel! Tell these women to go home!" It wasn't the sun that scattered sparks over the water surface. No, these are the dead sailors' tears. A boy in a sailor suit, the captain's son, 7-year-old Rakitnikov, points with his little hand into the sea, toward the silhouette of a patrol destroyer rising above the horizon. "Mother, look! The ship is sailing! It's Daddy coming back, isn't it?" His slender and beautiful brown-haired mother replies, "Yes, honey, yes. It's probably your dad." The woman chokes on tears, huddles. Her smart black dress is too tight for her. The delighted boy claps his hands. "Finally, the dad will be telling me about his adventures again." The mother cannot bear it anymore, and her torment erupts in a groan. "My God! My God!" I look at her and wonder if this weeping woman could indeed be the cause, however indirect, of the Wolverine loss. I step aside. I know these people will keep coming ashore for a long time, gazing out at the sea and waiting for answers that will never come. The sea will shimmer gently or rage furiously, but it will never reveal the truth. Only the storm knows where their loved ones lay, and only the storm will sing a mournful requiem for them. As I sit alone in the bow compartment of the Moray, I cannot help but feel restless and shocked by recent events. The sentry's steps on the upper deck echo in my mind as I bitterly contemplate the absurdity of the world we live in. Peoples have divided themselves into hostile camps, engaging in brutal acts of violence that leave cities and villages in ruins, fields trampled and wealth destroyed. It is a world robbery that is not only justified but encouraged by human laws. And to make matters worse, God himself is drawn into this bloody crime. Both sides turn to him with prayers, seeking his favor in the midst of their brutality. They burn candles and incense, donate money, and flatter him with boards, hoping to win his support. But what kind of God is this, who is so easily swayed by the highest bidder? If the creator of life is truly different from an unscrupulous official who accepts bribes, then why does he not revolt against such perversion of people? Why does he not roar with all the thunders so that the whole earth trembles from his terrible anger? Silent is the sky, purged by the war. It is not only me. There are millions who turn their backs on it, brooding. A siren wails in the harbor, its plaintive call echoing like a dog caught in a closing door. I shudder at the sound. Zobov enters the compartment. "It is good that I found you alone. We need to talk." "Fine. Listen, Vlasov, you should stop womanizing." "Why do you care?" "There is no time for this now. Can't you see people dying? We could die too. For what?" "Yes, my dear friend, I see. I can see it all. The whole earth is awash with torrents of blood and tears. But what can we do?" Zobov, muscular and stubborn like a buffalo, tilted his spacious forehead toward me. His grey eyes glimmered with a metallic shine of an unyielding resolve. The people are the power, and the people had enough of this. The whole country murmurs, it is time to get ready. Ready for what? For a payday. A payday? For human blood hawkers. For what happens next? Zobov expounded on his intentions. I knew for a long time that he had some plans. It turns out that he only wants to leave the sky alone, and even then only for a while. But on Earth, he thinks to turn all orders upside down. He promises to connect me with his comrades. We will need you. Okay, Zobov, you have my word. I understood where I should direct my forces. The hobbled people are rising, breaking free from age-old fetters. Their anger is like a rogue wave crashing down on the country. I feel the tremors of the human sea, the distant rumblings of a fierce storm. The events to come may well shatter me into 1,000 pieces, splash my hot blood on the pavement. It's all right. My course is clearly marked now. I feel the wings unfolding on my back. As the evening quietly approached, the warm twilight enveloped the city. Why was I going to Polina? I didn't even know myself. But as I walked on, I made a firm decision to tell her, as a sailor should, cast off the mooring lines of our love. No more words to add. I would simply turn around and leave. However, the fate had other plans for me. I found Polina's room empty, with a small green padlock hanging on the door. The short, bug-eyed landlord met me with anger and frustration. I told her many times not to mingle with your kind, but no, she wouldn't listen, so this is the end of the line for her. What happened? The landlord planted one hand on her hip and swung the other, driving her words like nails into my head. What happened is what had to happen. Couple of days ago she gulped some vinegar essence and was taken to a hospital. If she survives, no one knows. Cops are all over me now. If this fool's only left a note. It is my own decision to end my life. Nothing. And now she can't explain anything, having burned her maw. This is because of you, thugs. She committed such a sin. I don't want to see you ever again in my apartment. What's wrong with your face, deadbeat? Serves you well, you tailless dog. As I walk briskly down the street, a ludicrous thought creeps into my mind. Somehow I am convinced that I will inevitably come across Admiral Skinhead, and that I won't be able to offer him a proper and timely salute. This concerns me a lot. I peer into the officers' faces vigilantly so I do not miss the right moment. I did not go to the base, however. To my own surprise, I turned to the devil's matchmakers. The basement is dimly lit, with the windows and shutters tightly closed. The air is thick with the scent of musty bedding. Sailors and women are huddled together, enveloped in tobacco smoke, like conspirators under the cover of darkness. The majority of the sailors are from our crew. Oh, Vlasov's here too. Zobov turns to me. Yes, I'm here. Excellent. Join our company. This is the first time I have seen him this drunk. We stun ourselves with rectified denatured alcohol and polishing liquid. Women are drinking with us. Zalekin attempts to flirt with one of them, boring as a lantern bell toll, but she only offers a lazy smile in response. Devil's matchmaker is also present, the ex-wife of the bosun, now a widow, a madam, and a swindler whose equal few can match. She runs the entire gathering like a captain. Her fleshy, eyebrowless face is so red it could have been painted with red lead. A pair of small eyes are sunken in the fat, tossing and turning helplessly, trying to break free. Thick folds of fatty meat have formed around the silver bracelets on her bare arms. Swill sea wolves, high-grade vodka, more potent than Tsar's brew, and I will throw in some grub. The madam leisurely glides away, revealing her broad and blonde backside, reminiscent of a Finnish boat's stern, and disappears behind the divider. Harbor harlot. A sailor from another boat whispers into her back. Our galley seal passes the madam on his way out of the back room. He is accompanied by a scrawny girl with a face as yellow as a packing paper. Oh my! Even Vlasov graces us with his presence. Seems like everyone's heading to the devil's matchmaker's den today. Why the skull, brother? Just keeping to myself. With a long face because I can put on the pounds on the government rations like you do. The madam brings a platter of freshly picked cucumbers. Enjoy, lads, straight from the garden. Zalekin gives the madam a mischievous glance and says, Oh, Lukeria Ivanovna, with your looks, you should be nothing less than an admiral's wife. I'm afraid to look at her. What if I fell madly in love? Why not? She responds. At 42, a woman can still be quite a cherry. A sore one, someone blurts. Zobov looks around with his hazy, gleaming eyes. The exec told me we're going on a test dive tomorrow and likely heading out on patrol the day after. The party's almost over, boys. The trials for our sinful souls will start anew. So let's get blasted tonight, brothers. Let's get blasted! Let's burn some essence and make all the devils sweat. Zalekin cheers. I drink all sorts of rubbish. I drink a lot, but I cannot drown out my anguish and forget Polina. Zobov mutters grimly. The earth is thrown off the orbit. People have lost their minds, and the world is in agony. Blood flows like rivers. Where are we all heading? Planetary talks again, the cook sighs. Shut up, galley seal. You were sailing abroad for 2 years, right? That's right, so what? It turns out that everything can be bought there except for the wisdom. Can you lend me some of yours? I have nothing to grease the pans with. And what is even the point of arguing with you? You're still as thick as a brick. The devil's matchmaker leans in toward the freckled sailors and shares. My bosun, may God bless his soul, was crazy about me. He always came back from a tour hornier than Satan himself. He only starts fondling me, and all my ribs are already crackling like old ship timbers. Her tone is soft and relaxed, rolling like a bicycle on a smooth asphalt. Her hand rests on the sailor's knee, and I see his excitement grow. Zalekin abandons his lady and starts pestering the devil's matchmaker. Lukeria Ivanovna, patroness of all wanderers, travelers, and divers, let me play the accordion and sing something. I can't live without music. Hard starboard, she commands decisively. I haven't had my fill of life outside of jail yet. Do you want to summon the archangels? Zalekin curses, then takes his two-row accordion and leaves the premises. The debauchery intensifies. I can't recall which of the girls was my wife this time. The morning is peaceful and the sky looks like an endless blue abyss. The sea is smooth as a polished crystal and the sun is heating the still air. The Moray moves steadily, obediently steering through the ships. We pass the stone pier and enter the mine barrage area. We must follow the fairway and make constant turns to starboard and port. The officers are on the bridge, the captain at stern, and focused as ever in the exact Golubev smiles at the sun. The mine officer, for some reason, looks back at the shore. Despite all the radiant light around me, there is the darkest midnight in my soul. I stand on the upper deck, lost in my thoughts, paying no heed to the sailors' chatter. One question occupies my mind. Why did Polina decide to end her life with poison? I cannot find a comforting answer. The Moray clips the crystal waters with her sharp bow and moves further and further away from the harbor. I go below decks inside the submarine because we are rigging for a dive. The hatches are dogged. The smell of fried onions wafts through the air. Galley Seal is whipping up something on his electric stove. He looks bloated and bleary-eyed, suffering from dropsy after night's feasts. "What's up?" "My blood pressure. My mug is rumbling like it has diesel installed, and I've got no vodka to freshen the nip." The galley seal unleashes a barrage of colorful expletives as he realizes he accidentally put pepper into the compote. He frantically grabs the pot, showing the brazier to the deck. "Get out before I knock your block off!" he roars at me, trying to catch fleeing utensils and swearing profoundly. The other sailors chuckle. I make my way through the watertight bulkhead door and into my bow compartment. Zobov is here, looking somber. He is gulping water now and then. Zalekin stands in front of the mirror, meticulously grooming his pencil-thin mustache and neatly parted hair with his boot brush. Satisfied with the results, he advises the crew. "Marry in haste, repent at leisure." The raucous laughter irritates me. The thrum and rumble of the diesel engines abruptly ceases, replaced by the quiet hum of the electric motors. We have taken ballast on partially, and the boat now sails with her deck awash, with minimal buoyancy. Amidst the silence, someone whispers furiously, "Anathema! You want to poison us with these fumes?" I assume it's someone reprimanding the cook. Once again, the boat is quiet, like an empty temple, with only the pulsating hum of the engines audible from the engine room. The submarine, hermetically sealed, continues on its way. An order to increase the ballast of the aft tanks is received through the communication tube. The air whistled, and the furious grunting of the ballast tank filled the boat as it swallowed salty water. Then another sound burst forth, the deafening roar of a stream. Screams and howls of people mingled with the din, making it impossible to distinguish anything. Several sailors and the executive officer, soaked to the bone, burst into the bow compartment through the watertight bulkhead door. With their faces contorted by fear, they quickly shut the steel door behind them, as if trying to fend off attacking robbers. Gunshots ring out from behind the door. Who is shooting and why? I'm frozen, crushed by the catastrophe. Others huddled in fear, anticipating the inevitable blow. The deck is slipping away from under my feet as Murray is plunging faster and faster into the abyss, heavy like an iron ingot. Holding my breath, I hear water rushing into the boat, rumbling and growling like a powerful river's waterfall. Our ship's weight is increasing, and I myself feel like I am filling with lead. My feet are stuck to the deck, and I can't move them. Oh, I wish the deafening roar of the stream stops soon. I can't think of anything else. The whole world is dying with a crash and a rumble, and the earth is falling apart. The deck jolted under my feet as the boat finally hit the seabed. A few minutes of grave silence settled in the bow compartment. We exchange crazed looks, wondering what comes next. It's okay. It is okay. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. The executive officers of Blue Lips tremble as he tries to calm us down. The light bulbs shine brightly, giving us a chance to assess the situation and calm down a bit. How did it happen? Who knows? I do, sir, Gunner's mate Sorokin shouts hastily, as if saving the boat hinges on his reply. It is all the galley seal's fault. He spills fatty sauce on the stove, and it started to burn. Someone started berating him. The seal thought the captain was going to be angry, so he decided to open the hatch about the galley on his own. He probably thought we wouldn't be diving soon, so he had time to let the smoke out. And I saw the mine officer gunning him down, adds the other sailor. They were shooting each other and themselves. The depth gauge indicates 98 feet. A mountain of water is above us, and we are firmly stuck in this trap. Behind the bulkhead, there are 30 and some corpses of our comrades. We are the next. There are 10 of us here on the death row. The iron bulkhead gives under the weight of the water, bulging into the compartment, swelling like a sail. The skewed door cracks and starts to leak. We can do nothing with it. The sea seeks revenge. Like a traitor, it is trying to infiltrate the bow compartment and suffocate us, to asphyxiate us with its pliable mass, with its soft paws, slowly, with cold indifference. What are we going to do now, sir? we ask the exec. Are we done for? Don't lose your heads. Wait, we'll figure it out. Someone brings up Skinhead. It is him who is the cause of this situation, not the cook. Why did he bring a woman to the moray? Everyone, including the executive officer, is cursing at him. The gunner's mate Sorokin, always bilious and quick-tempered, is shaking his fists and shouting, "If Skinhead were here, we'd pop this blimp real fast." Zobov asks the executive officer sternly, "What are we dying for?" "Brothers, I myself am only a pawn in this diabolical game. This is not the time for the discussion. Let's focus on saving ourselves." The sea is relentless in its assault on us. The bulkhead is bursting at the seams. Any moment now we are to be crushed, reduced to nothing. Seaman Mitroshkin breaks down in tears. "Stop blubbering," the executive officer bellows at him. "You're a sailor. Act like one." Mitroshkin straightens himself up and blinks his teary eyes. Golubev finally regained composure. Everyone looks at him. He is an experienced submariner and knows better than any of us what to do. "First of all, brothers, we need to send a message to the surface. And this can be done very simply. We will discharge air from one of the mines into the storage bank and detach the exploder. Then we will put a note inside. If such a mine is launched out of a tube, it will immediately pop up. Ships are passing here all the time. Someone will definitely take a hit." "That's right, sir, that's right." A beacon of hope flickered in the distance. In a few short minutes, everything was ready. The mine darted out of the tube, carrying with it message from the grave to the world we had been cut off from. Although the water continued to rise and flood the deck, it felt like an invisible grip that held us in a vice was slowly unclenching. There was a vague hope that we could still be saved, and we talked about this possibility. Our maneuvers were, of course, being monitored from the bridges of all the ships. Our prolonged disappearance from the surface of the sea will raise suspicion at the base, and they will immediately figure out something went wrong. Ships will be sent to search for us, and they will eventually catch the mine and read the note. After this, all means will be put to work to extract us from the bottom of the sea, including divers and a rescue ship, and once again the sun will shine at our faces. Zaleikin suddenly remembered something and plunged into the oily water. He felt around under the lockers with his hands for a moment before retrieving the case with his accordion. Cursing obscenely, he found his joy and pride ruined by water. "Well, at least I hung the mandolin overhead. Otherwise it would bite the dust as well." Zaleikin doesn't seem like he is going to cease playing and singing, even if he was sitting on the devil's horns. There are but two ways to get out of our compartment, either through the bow hatch or through a mine tube, like Lieutenant Rakitnikov once did. We are discussing the matter, and our conclusions are woeful. To launch a person out of mine apparatus, it is necessary to counter the immense pressure of water with even greater air pressure, and this means certain death. We raise our heads and peer anxiously at the bow hatch. How do we open it? And then such wave bears down on us. The sea would pour fiercely into the boat and tear our lungs apart before we could escape. Just the mere thought of it turns the mind. The decision was made firmly to wait for outside help. The executive officer brought out 3 bottles of good cognac from his cabin. Prepared for patrol, I enjoy a sip during critical moments. "You are our savior!" joyfully exclaimed Zalekin. "After all, it's like combustion for us now." Only Mitroshkin refused his share. The cognac was divided among the 9 of us, and we drank it in one gulp, hoping it would hit us better. It's a pity we couldn't assess the government-issued vodka, as it was behind the bulkhead. "Oh, let's have some fun before it's too late," exclaimed Zalekin, reaching for his mandolin. The strings ran out, scattering cheerful sound. A tenor voice chimed in with a lively tune. "My darling has some fishy eyes." Faces animate, eyes light up. The water on deck is above the knees, but who cares? I sense some kind of gutsiness stirring within me. Let death show up now. I'll spit in his bonny mug and say, "And now, drown us all." We climbed onto the lockers and huddled together. Only the Mitroshkin keeps aloof. He furtively crosses himself and whispers something. Zobov taunts him. "Listen, buddy, cut this malarkey. Just imagine, the sea surface is far and the sky is even farther. Your God won't hear you even if you scream bloody murder." "Let him be," the officer interjects. The gramophone replaced the mandolin. The baritone sings the familiar song to the sounds of piano. "Hug me, kiss me, embrace me, and pet me." Everyone listens to the song with a somber expression. It seems like a cruel joke to us. Up there, in the world above, the bright sky pours out joy. Life sparkles everywhere. Maybe someone on the shore is looking at the sea, admiring the play of colors, and dreaming of love and happiness at this very moment. And they do not suspect that beneath the blue surface of the waters, beneath this shimmering gold, people are writhing in agonizing torment. The water continues to rise. The batteries short out and the electric lighting slowly fades away until it is completely dark. The air thickens and becomes stuffy. We aren't waiting for the passionate kisses of our lovers, but for icy embrace of death. "To hell with this record," shouts the executive officer. "Put on something merrier." A fresh record spins, and a woman croons about a macho chauffeur. This bawdry makes us laugh. Hours of excruciating waiting passed. The electricity went out, and we are relying on a Junger accumulator, a small handheld lamp whose light is as weak as that of a tiny candle. Darkness envelops us. The water has reached the level of the lockers and stopped rising. The pressure of the watertight bulkhead from the both sides has now equalized. However, the air has become increasingly fetid and thick, causing our ears to ache. From time to time we raise our heads and gaze eagerly at the bow hatch. Like wild animals hunted for prey, we argue heatedly among ourselves. Zobov is trying to persuade us to use the hatch immediately, before we run out of strength. We could burst out of here with an air bubble like birds out of a cage, if only we could open the hatch. The gunner's mate Sorokin, who is suffering from lung problems, supports Zobov's idea. Others object. Maybe we will break out, but where we will break into? Into the clutches of the devil? Let's better wait. The executive officer is the one who insists on waiting the most. Stop! Be quiet! Shouts electrician's mate Sidorov, his head thrown back and his right hand raised. We strain to listen as a buzzing noise grows louder and louder, the sound of a seething propellers. It becomes clear that a large vessel is passing overhead. Joy and hope explode within us, and we cry out, "They are searching for us! Now they're come to our aid! We are saved!" The executive officer turns to Zobov and declares, "I was right. The weather's calm, and the mine with the note won't drift too far. We will be found soon." Zobov responds, "Found maybe, but rescued." A few minutes later, the rumble of propellers is heard again. We are even more affirmed in the thought that now we will be saved. Even Zobov, it seems, is starting to believe. He tilts his head back and looks at the bow hatch. His fists, as large as a child's head, clench tightly. Healthy teeth are bared. He roars like an enraged lion. "Oh, if only I could break free! If only!" I know the grandiose plans of Zobov. I understand him, and my chest burns with anger too. I say to him, "Friend, I'm with you, sailing the same course." Not a single device, not a single mechanism functions aboard the boat. Every part of it has long gone cold. The moray became a corpse. The combination of salt water with battery acid releases poisonous chlorine. It causes an unpleasant scratching in the throat, tickles in the nostrils. We are stubbornly waiting for salvation. In the eerie twilight, torn apart by uncertainty, we cheer ourselves up with conversations and jokes. Among us, Zalekin shines the brightest in this regard. Brothers, I feel so sorry about my wife. Until now we thought you were a backler. I was just pulling your leg. Otherwise you would spill the beans to my other mistresses. The truth is, I've been betrothed for a while now, and let me tell you, she's quite a woman. If her nose was just an inch longer, she'd be the most stunning beauty in the whole wide world. I love her like rain loves a pig, and she loves me back like a cat loves mustard. They say only in paradise can you find such a perfect pair. Our life together has never soared. So how did you manage it? Zalekin, as always in such cases, responds with a deadpan expression. It is quite simple. One day I would throw a log at her and miss. She rejoices. The other day she would lob a pot at me and miss. I am happy. Every day we spent together was a day of joy, I swear. With convulsive laughter, we are trying to drown our anxiety, our mortal fear. I believe that if there is a God, he must have had a good laugh when Zalekin was conceived. As soon as the laughter dies down, we hear a frightened whisper coming from the bow. "Hush, brothers! Listen!" The executive officer raises the lamp. Away from us, toward the bow, a bent human figure looms in the semi-darkness. This is Mitroshkin creeping toward us atop the lockers. He stops and points aft. Can you hear the scratching, the whispers? They're alive. Alive. Who's alive? Asks Zobov. Our lads, they're asking permission to enter the bow compartment. Mitroshkin, who doesn't look like himself anymore, shudders and shields face with his hands. He's consumed by fear. We stand there, mouths agape, straining our ears for any hint of life. Complete silence engulfs us. Not even the sound of our own breath can be heard. If only some sign of life would reach us from beyond the hull. And is there life anywhere? The entire universe seems to be in a state of stupor. The black water gleams between the lockers. People's faces remain motionless like masks, and their eyes are cold and empty. Our hand lamp is a candle in the crypt. Ha! Damn it! You scared me for real! Zalekin bursts into laughter. A chaotic babble ensues, with everyone talking at once, laughing nervously, desperate not to let silence take the hold. Silence is painful, unbearable, and can drive us to madness. The air is tainted, making each breath a struggle. The noise in my head grows louder. "Gramophone!" the executive officer issues the command. "Gramophone!" echoes from the others. From the big red trumpet, resembling a gaping maw, the sounds of the orchestra burst forth, and trailing behind like a slithering boa constrictor emerges Shalyapin's thunderous bass. He announces the royal flee. "Flee! He! A diabolical roar reverberates through the iron hull, relentlessly pounding upon it with a massive log. One of the sailors repeats after Shalyapin, "Flee! He! The contagious laughter spreads among the crew, blending creepiness and amusement. The sounds of the orchestra permeate the dense air, ricocheting in a small space. They are overpowered by a menacing boss. The king summons his tailor and saying with a glee, "Hey Dumbo, make a kaftan for my beloved flea." Laughter erupts once again. Together with Shalyapin we'll repeat, "Flee! He! Violent mirth infects us. Nothing can be heard except the laughter. Zalekin, his head thrown back, cackles. The executive officer, struggling to contain himself, clutches his stomach, convulsing. Zobov sways from side to side like a pendulum caught in a wild swing. Gunner's mate Sorokin kicks his legs. Some of us cling to lockers, contorting and writhing, seized by an uncontrollable fit. Laughter fills my chest, my intestines tremble. Grotesque shadows dance on the walls, objects quiver in response to the chaotic commotion. The echoes are crackling in our ears. The gramophone has been silent for a while now, and Shalyapin is done singing, but we can't stop repeating the chorus. "Flee! He! And once again an uncontrollable torrent of laughter overwhelms us, shaking our bodies and reverberating throughout the entire vessel. The entire boat shudders. I struggle to regain control of myself, turning my gaze away and covering my ears in a desperate attempt to silence the cacophony. A sudden wave of fear grips my throat, making me weak at the knees. It appears as though everyone went mad. Heads bending violently, teeth are bared, and tears stream down everyone's faces. Their contorted figures writhe, their laughter turns into hysterical cries. I don't know what to do. In my desperation, I clutch the hand of the exec and shout, "Sir! Sir!" He looks back at me with a bewildered expression. his face drained of color, with beads of sweat on his brow. His eyes, dulled and vacant, scan the others before he bellows. "Shut up! I command you to cease this stupid laughter!" Fear grips the faces of everyone present. Something creaked overhead. A wire rope had been run across the upper deck. Moments later, the sound is repeated, followed by a distinctive crack. "We have been found! Hooray!" A few more hours pass. We are not being rescued. In vain we strain our ears for any sound from outside. The air is getting worse and worse. We are poisoned. People's faces are earthly yellow, with blue lips, with cloudy eyes. Every now and then someone sneezes, chlorine burning his nose like tobacco dust. I feel pain in my chest, shortness of breath. We breathe often. We breathe with open mouths, burning the last oxygen. Lethargy sits in. My heart skips beats. Trains are passing through my head, making it hard to hear. Gunner's mate Sorokin is completely exhausted. He crawled away from us. Lying on the lockers, he groans. "I can't wait any longer, brothers. I can't." Sometimes it feels like a terrible dream, and I just want to wake up in a different place. But it is what it is, a chilling reality. I can't shake it off. I envy the marine creatures free to roam the open seas while we are sealed in this iron trap. If only I could become a tiny fish, just to leave. Zalekin tries to crack a joke, but no one pays attention. My head spins and I feel sick to my stomach. It's like thousands of needles poking in my body, the chlorine tormenting us relentlessly. It crawls into our throats, our lungs, tearing us apart with invisible claws. With each heartbeat and every breath, my thoughts grow fainter, my mind clouded. "Oh, I'm sick," Sorokin groans. "I'm dying." We agreed to wait for a little longer, just 5 or 10 minutes more. To make matters worse, our hand lamp is running out of power. We have to conserve its light, only turning it on when absolutely necessary. During one of these moments of darkness, I distinctly and clearly felt the familiar smell of woman's hair. For a moment, Polina's cornflower blue eyes shone before me. A gentle voice whispered in my head, "Come today." Suddenly, a shot rang, followed by a command, "Light up!" I wipe cold drops of sweat from my forehead. I look around. Zobov holds the lamp high. Everyone froze as they stood, looking down between the rows of lockers. There, in black water, Sorokin is floundering, having just taken his life. He's flailing his arms, falling, rising, wheezing, snoring, sprays flying in all directions. You might think he's just bathing, but why then his face flows with blood? Sorokin shakes his head, gasps like a man enjoying his bath. For a moment he goes below the surface, only to rise again like a terrible host. I have approached the edge of madness. Another moment, and I would fall into the black pit. A familiar voice shook me. Brothers! Zobov shakes his fists and shouts, "Let's not deceive ourselves anymore! By the time we get any help from outside, it will be too late. We have a way to save ourselves. The only thing left to us is clutching at the straws. What is the way? Speak up!" Everyone stares at Zobov. He looks like a madman. His eyes bulge out of their sockets. In a hurry, he's choking on words. His idea is simple. Our kapok jackets are buoyant. Everyone needs to put them on. Air in the compartment is highly compressed. Therefore, it is only necessary to open the bow hatch, and we will fly out to the surface of the sea like corks. The exec adds, "If it comes to that, we can also open the compressed air banks. This will make it easier for us to open the hatch." A sudden, unmistakable knocking rang from the opposite side. Everyone turned their heads toward the sound and fell silent. The knocking repeated. Zobov jumped across the water in one leap, from one row of lockers to another. We rushed after him with the cry, "We are saved!" Who among us doesn't know Morse code? The executive officer prompts Zobov, and he taps out his words on the steel of hull with a monkey wrench. There is no more madness. We are listening intently to the dialogue. Who is there? The divers. What is your plan? For the time being, we will be laying lines under the boat, and when the Volkhov arrives, we will lift you up. Where is Volkhov? On its way. Estimated time of arrival, in about 12 hours. It will be of no use to us. We only have air for a few more minutes. The divers continue tapping, but we pay no attention. It's pointless. The Volkhov, our only hope for rescue, won't arrive in time. There is no one else who can help us. We are like condemned prisoners waiting for a pardon, but there is no one to grant it. Now we are at the mercy of merciless executioners, the spoiled air, the poisonous chlorine, the seawater. We live through a moment of hopeless despair. We are on a scaffold. Ropes are tightened around our necks. There is only chaos and darkness ahead of us. And not only we, but all mankind is falling into the abyss. Zobov exclaims, "Let's take a risk, brothers!" Everyone agrees. Let's take a risk. We stand prepared for whatever lies ahead. Each of us follows the agreed-upon plan. We cast lots to determine the order of our escape from the submarine. Hastily, we wrap our heads, ears and faces with rags, leaving only our eyes exposed. This provides some padding against the impacts and the pressure of the water. The hatch flywheel is set to open, though the hatch itself remains sealed by the weight of the sea. The final step is to release the compressed air from the banks. This responsibility falls upon Sidorov, the electrician's mate, who is positioned at the end of our queue. Even in this dire moment, Zaleikin remains true to himself. Though barely clinging to life, he is tying the mandolin to his chest. Only Mitroshkin doesn't make any preparations to save himself. He keeps aloof and just goggles at us. Everything is ready. Electrician's mate Sidorov crawls away from us into the darkness, making his way toward the bow, where the air bank valves are located. You can hear water splashing under him. We form a line. I am the number 3. Behind me is the executive officer, and 2 men behind him, Zobov. The lamp attached to the upper deck near the hatch faintly illuminates the scene. Torpedo engineer Ryabushkiv, the first in the line, trembles with fear, his eyes darting around in confusion. I can't do it. I'm scared, he stammers. Zobov rushes to him, pushes him aside and yells, "You fool! Take my place!" Will it be possible for us to break out to the surface? How are we going to be crushed by the enormous weight of the water? Something swells in my chest, pushing my ribs apart. I hope my heart won't burst. This is it. This is our final gamble, our desperate dance with death. We are going all in. "Open the flasks!" the executive officer shouts loudly. "Aye!" Sidorov responds from the darkness. "Ease the whales, little by little." "Aye!" Water churned throughout the bow compartment. Spray filled the air, accompanied by a cacophony of noise. The air pushed on us, pressed harder and harder on our eyes, squeezed our tears, and stifled our breath. The compartment turned into a boiling cauldron. Zobov opened the hatch. I have little idea of what happened next. I only remember something barked, whipped my ears, deafening me. Darkness engulfed me and blinded me. I stopped breathing. A toothless maw crushed me into a ball, spat me out. I flew and spun, twirling like a fancy top. Then it felt like I turned into a mine. I swam for a long time, drilling water. The last flash of consciousness sparkled and went out. How long did it take for me to wake up? I don't know. A blue canopy is hung over me, a brand new one and amazingly clean. But why does it have a white patch on it? And why the patch is so unevenly carved? A blackbeard leans toward me. There are silver epaulets on his shoulders. Out of somewhere a hand with a vial reaches out to my face. Something hits my nose. I close my eyes, shake my head, and when I look again, everything becomes clear. The steamboat, the sky, the white cloud, the slanting rays of evening sun. I am naked. The wraps are torn off my head. I'm turned over, my body being vigorously rubbed. It's a shame they won't let me look at the sky. It is comforting, like the gaze of a mother. "Drink," says the doctor, and offers me half a glass of cognac. Hot jets spurt throughout my body. My mind is in a state of pure bliss, and drowsiness takes hold of me. However, a nagging thought lingers. What if this is the beginning of my end? Could it be that the shining sky exists only in my fading consciousness? What if I wake up to find myself inside an iron coffin? No, I am saved, saved. I catch sight of boats and destroyers sailing nearby. Echoes of voices reach my ears. On the closest boat, a group of people hold the electrician's mate Sidorov, who is trying to break free, laughing loudly. "Flee!" Zobov stands beside me. The doctor asks him, "We rescued 8 men, only one is missing." "Aye, only one." My eyes close involuntarily. I know who this one is, but I can't remember his last name. I'm trying hard to recall it. and fall asleep.